and then the healing meditation, because then I like just really solidifying what I'm bringing forth for you in my talk. So this morning, we're going to talk about living in the liminal. So I read the Red Bluff Daily News to find out about the local news and about obituaries and about public notices, mostly foreclosures. And on Tuesday, July 15th, this is the paper on that day, there was a foreclosure notice in here for a property at 220 D Street in the little city of Tehama. Now, Tehama is the smallest incorporated city in California, has a population of 435 people, and it's called the little city of the big trees. And it's on the west side of the Sacramento River, just about a mile from Las Molinas over the bridge. So when I saw that, and that it was in Tehama, and I really love the city of Tehama, I thought that address sounded somewhat familiar. So I did a property search on it, and I could not believe it. It was the old original general store that was built in 1859. And I knew about the building, and it had all hand-milled redwood beams in it and like 4-inch thick walls of handmade bricks, all from, the mid-1850s. And I remembered it because in 2004, I wanted to buy it for $34,000. But it needed a vision, and it needed a lot of work. And at the time, I was really busy in the heyday of brokering my real estate office, and I just thought, this isn't the right time. So here, it appeared that it was coming back, knocking at my door one more time. So should I do this? Can I do this? Without Roger, is it possible? Because, he always did all the work. I just did the books. So it was, is this really something that I can do and that I want to do? And there were no keys to the building. It was all closed up. And so you couldn't go in to get any idea of what the condition was on the inside. And it had been abandoned for about 2 years. So who knew what had happened in there or what was still happening in there? But because I remembered the building, I kept thinking about it. And you have to realize that notice was in the Tuesday, July 15th paper. And it was advertising the sale on the courthouse steps in Red Bluff for July 21st at 2 p.m. And that wasn't even a week away. And so, could I get the money in time? But more than that, should I really buy it? And then the 16th came, and the 17th came, and the 18th was Friday, and I thought, well, if you're going to do this, you better move some money. So if you decide to, you could actually do it. So I did do that, and then Saturday and Sunday, absolutely could not make a decision. Monday morning, Monday at noon. And then something really odd happened. Everything became very still. It's like time was still. It was like I was in some kind of a void, a liminal space. And I wasn't really present. I felt like maybe I was awake but not aware but not awake, not sure. Anyway, my brain froze. I did not know what to do. And then out of the blue, unsolicited, these words came out of my mouth, somewhat jokingly. I wonder what my body's going to do. I wonder if my body's going to show up at the bank, and then it's going to get in the car and it's going to go to the courthouse, or if I'm just going to be sitting here in another 2 hours and not have done anything. And I truly became detached and just curious to witness what my body was going to do. And then I found myself at the bank. And then at the courthouse steps, a mere 10 minutes before the sale was to happen. There were no other bidders. just me and my cashier's check. And at 2:05, I bought Frankie's in the city of Tehama. Now, I named it, I named it Frankie's because when I called my insurance agent when I got home and told her what I had done, she gasped. And my next phone call was to my lender to see if this was ever going to be bank financeable. And he said, "Oh, my Connie, you have a real Frankenstein there." And so the building became Frankie's and it became mine. And then it was time for the big reveal. What did my body buy? So my friend Adam, he went with me to figure out a way to get us in and then resecure it when we got out. And I just really said a little prayer as he pushed on the front door to get his lever in to see what he could do. And the door opened. It had never been locked. None of the 6 doors in that building and in the little apartment that's attached to the back, none of them were locked. And anybody could have gone in. I could have gone in. Anybody else could have gone in, and yet there were no broken windows. There was no trash. There were no bodies, live or not. There was no graffiti. And it was in so much better condition than I could have ever hoped for. And I really bought it sight unseen. It was so interesting to me that the doors had always been open. That just kept resonating how important that was, that the only mystery was the one that I created in my mind, thinking that the doors were locked. But even in spite of that, even though my eyes didn't see it, the inner vision knew, and it was what was propelling me forward to do it. And now I'm really excited to see what this Frankenstein of a building, this building, that when I'm in it, it just brings me so much joy. I'm really curious what it's going to become. It's really in a liminal space on the threshold of the unknown. And I'm really enjoying being in that place of unknowing, of expectancy, of infinite potential and creative freedom right there. And I'm just kind of waiting for it to show me what it wants to become. So being in this liminal space, this is why I'm doing this talk, because this is what inspired my exploring this. And that's what I want to share with you this morning. So I did not know the word liminal until the Banff retreat, the SOAR retreat in Banff, like a month ago. And Dr. Andrea Azevedo, she gave an inspirational talk, and she used the word liminal. And she said it was like being at the beach. It's not the sand, and it's not the ocean. It is the slushy part in between that's not one or the other, but it's just that transformational spot. And the word liminal comes from the Latin word limen, which means threshold. That's a pretty powerfully potent place to be. Susan Bridges states, the essence of life takes place in the neutral zone phase of transition. It is in that interim spaciousness that all possibilities, creativity, and innovative ideas can come to life and flourish. Just imagine all these different liminal spaces, and as I started focusing on it, I started seeing them. So I brought this, it's usually in my bedroom, of Michelangelo's picture where you see the hand of Adam reaching out for the hand of God, and that space between their fingers. That is the liminal space where terrestrial is meeting celestial. I mean, we have plenty of other ones we know about, like caterpillar, the caterpillar becoming a butterfly. When it's in the chrysalis, it's not a caterpillar. and it's not a butterfly, it's just in the middle. Um, and then I was thinking about those precious moments right before birth, right before death. Could be first day at a new job, anything in that interim. And I'm just asking you to think for your own self. If you're in a liminal space, is there some part in your life where you're at that same threshold of something new not yet formed? You know, there are so many thresholds, so many transformational places that I think we just don't focus on them because we're too busy, or like me, too much in a hurry. Let's just get to where we're going to be. And we don't seem to be very comfortable in the waiting space, kind of what you talked about, Darnell. That space between an end and a beginning. That space when we're no longer where we were, and yet we're not where we'll be. And that liminal space is not a place to rush through. It's a place of deep listening and surrender. It's a time for living the question rather than looking for an immediate answer. And liminal spaces have their own rhythm and timing, and you cannot rush the process. If we try to push, we may miss the subtle signals that something new is ready to emerge. I'm a bit astonished that my brain really did not kick in on the way to the courthouse. Um, it really was in that neutral phase zone. And for me, it seems like almost a magical place, maybe even mystical. I knew with the purchase of Frankie's that I was in a very odd, very different kind of place. And that thinking part of me just surrendered, and it just followed. And I was trying to think of some other examples to give you. And, you know, in meditation that happens for me, but then you're not moving. And then I remembered, and I don't know if this happens to you as well, but I have fallen a few times. And it's so interesting that when I give up the idea that I'm going to find something to hold on to, that there's nothing I can do, that this descent to the ground becomes in slow motion. It's like every little detail I can feel the transition happening. Um, and then afterwards, I have a similar response to the one that Reverend Kathy shared last week when she talked about tripping in front of Trader Joe's. She hit herself in the corner of the store to recover, and she asked herself, "What was that?" Then she went on to share that what that was a call to embody, literally with her body, the present moment. To be in the liminal space requires that we're in the present. What's further back is past, and what's ahead is the future. So here in this space, all that is the present. And these liminal moments can be really long or they can be really short. I remember coming in here years ago, like an hour before the Christmas candlelight service. And nobody was here. It was completely dark. There was not a sound or any movement. And I remember sitting kind of where you are, Vicki. I was sitting right there. And I was just feeling alone and in the dark, but this immense potential. Just knowing that shortly that room was going to burst into activity. But for right then, it was nothing but stillness. It was that void. And I felt that fullness really fully. The first step is being aware of that liminal moment and to pause and be ready to witness letting something completely dissolve and leaving you open and free to discover what is waiting. to be present if and when something is just unexpectedly slips into the open. And that is the space I'm in now with Frankie's. I don't feel rushed at all. It's in its own gestational period. And it made me remember a couple quotes from Ernest Holmes, one from Living the Science of Mind. And he said, "We cannot go back. We must go forward. We must let go of the lesser to hold on to the greater." And then in this thing called you, he says, there's a time between the seed and the harvest. It is the law at work. We cannot hurry it, but we can trust it. That liminal space requires our trust and faith and patience. And when we're fully present to that waiting space, clarity comes in its own time. And I like to call it a sacred pause. And as I kept thinking about this space, it came to me that there's a couple more really powerful things that happen here, and I want to share those too. The first was just realizing I don't want to say the word I was going to say, what an amazing place of transformation it is. I mean, I remember sitting at the ocean and seeing those miles of ocean, of all this water just coming, and then right in front of me, it stops and it becomes land. Just an amazing experience of just what the changes that happen. Look at my shirt. This is my Escher print shirt, and I think it's so cool because it shows the bird it's called Sky and Water, and so the bird in the sky becomes the fish in the water, and you really can't notice how that happens, but suddenly it happens. Kind of cool, huh? And Scarlett, if you would show the first slide. This is a picture. Can you lower the light a little bit so the light looks pretty? I mean, the colors look prettier. So the light comes into the prism and then all of a sudden explodes into the spectrum of all the colors. We're all familiar with this. But this is what came to me. We are the prism. We're the prism where the source energy moves through us. We're the conduit. The human body is actually the mechanism that allows the transfer of energy. We are the transformer. And there's a scene in one of my favorite movies, Interstellar, where the Ranger lander who's been out trying to look for life in the cosmos has to come back and dock into the mother ship, the Endurance. And I just love the scene, and I want to share it with you. If you can show the clip.
And it's hard leaving everything. My kids, your father.
We're going to be spending a lot of time together.
We should learn to talk.
Emma, not to. Just being honest.
I don't think you need to be that honest. Hey, Tars, what's your honesty parameter?
90%.
90%.
Absolute honesty isn't always the most diplomatic, nor the safest form of communication with emotional beings.
Okay. 90% it is, Dr. Brand.
We are coming up on the Endurance. 12 minutes out.
Okay, taking control. Approaching module port, 500 meters. all you, Doyle. Nice and easy, Doyle. Nice and easy.
You feel good.
Take us home.
Lock?
Target locked?
Target locked.
Well done.
Okay, helmet's on.
Good job.
That's good. I love it at the end where he says, "Take me home. Take us home." Because that's how it feels to me. This is how I picture locking my consciousness with the divine. Take me home. To align with Source, the port doors open, and all that energy flows through to the container that we give it to manifest. But first, we have to make the connection. And this is what I believe humans are here for, to connect and then direct the flow of energy. That's how we co-create. We don't make the energy, we just use the energy. We direct the energy. And it's here in this liminal space that it happens. We are a transformer of energy. There is a power for good greater than we, in the universe, greater than we are, and we can use it. And this is how we do it. I love the transformational essence of the liminal space, but there's more. My daughter, Lisa, the rabbi, told me about a sermon she gave, and it took me to a deeper level of understanding this liminal space. And I cut it down a little bit of what she had given, and so I want to share that with you this morning, and these are her words. There is a fascinating incident recorded in the Talmud known as the four who entered Pardes. Four great sages, after meditating for a very long time, all ascended to heaven and entered a realm known as Pardes. In Hebrew, Pardes means orchard, so maybe they entered a divine garden or a verdant place of lushness and abundance. In any case, they are all in an elevated state of consciousness. The legend tells us that after entering this place, all four had different experiences. Rabbi Ben Azai died, a physical experience. Rabbi Ben Zoma went mad, a mental experience. And Rabbi Elisha ben Abuya became a heretic, a spiritual experience. However, Rabbi Akiva remained physically, mentally, and spiritually intact. Why? Supposedly, he entered and exited with shalom. The word shalom comes from a Hebrew root meaning wholeness or completeness. This is different from our simplistic understanding of shalom, which conjures up images of universal happiness and a complete absence of conflict. Yes, shalom is that, but maybe there's more to it than that. If shalom reflects wholeness and completeness, then maybe it's about holding all that is, the light and the dark, the good and the bad, all the messes and the tensions along with all the beauty and the kindnesses. Can all of this coexist? Can we create a paradigm of understanding where we call the acceptance of what is shalom? My hope for us all is that we can be like Rabbi Akiva. Let's strengthen our ability to hold paradox so that we can more easily experience the wholeness of shalom. So another gift of living in the liminal is becoming aware of the paradox. A paradox is the practice of being with two seemingly opposing truths or tensions at once without forcing resolution. It feels a bit contradictory. The mind wants to choose one side, but being able to hold the paradox stretches us beyond a consciousness of either or into a consciousness of both and, inclusivity, allness, oneness. The liminal space, that transformational zone, is about holding the paradox. It holds two different realities, beach and ocean, at the same time, and it requires a huge leap of consciousness. Breathing is both inhaling and exhaling, and the balance is found in the tension between the two. Opposing conditions become interwoven in the fabric of life, and they both have to in order to be in the oneness. The gift of holding paradox is that it becomes a spiritual accelerator of growth. Instead of forcing resolution, we step into a wider field of consciousness where new wisdom and compassion can emerge. The richness of living in the paradox is that it can hold the greatest lows along with the greatest highs. And when we get comfortable with the dance between the two, we experience the richness of living in the paradox, in the liminal. We come to know that for every experience of suffering, there's an equal and opposite experience of joy. The larger the difference, the greater the livingness. We stretch in this tension, and in this stretching, we grow. And suffering does not need to be painful when we remember that it's simply a call for healing and growth. All are experiences of being human, and when we can let go of the judgments and the labels, it's simply alive and expansive. All of it in this space is in the present moment. And in that present moment, everything exists. Remember my other favorite movie, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Now, the world itself is a profound liminal space. It's a place of awe-inspiring transformation. And isn't it amazing how we can experience just the depths of horror and despair over here? And then by simply turning our attention over here in the same moment, we can experience the most beautiful joy and love, both held in the paradox. And we are the fulcrum, the mechanism right in the middle that allows transformation to be seen and felt and known. We are here to engage with the divine when we are aware we're in the liminal space. We're here to embrace the divine when we relax in the waiting space. And we're here to embody the divine when we're able to hold the paradox, the allness of everything. And like Rabbi Akiva, experience shalom. So to quote my other favorite movie, Barbie, it's what we were made for, to hold it all and to hold it with love. Namaste.